Here we go again. I promise you, this time is different. Alrighty then guys, so welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing amazing as possible. But anyway, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I have a new motorcycle yet again. Now hoping this one will be the last motorcycle for a while, hopefully for a very long while. And if you watch my previous video, you'll understand why. So for those that don't know, this is the CRF 1100 Africa Twin. It is a 2020 model. And before I get cracking showing you around the bike, I want to give you a big thank you to Lynn Motorrad in Norwich. So thanks to all the guys there, whether it be Joe who took care of the sales side of things, Keith, Jamie for getting everything sorted with getting it serviced and pushed through the workshop as quickly as possible, through CJ Ball as well, might I add. So that also involved transporting it there, which would have been David driving the van, and of course Woody, who works over at Harleyside, who showed me the actual bike itself. So thank you everybody, and thank you CJ Ball for getting the service done. Amazing stuff. Okay, let's start from the front, work our way back, because there is quite a lot of kit on this bike. It came with so much and I got very good value for money. I picked this up for around about 9.5 on about 2,400 miles. So yeah, plenty of life left in this thing. And basically what I'm after for a motorcycle is a number of things, and unfortunately there is no perfect motorcycle out there. But what I wanted was a good all-rounder to do commuting, touring, you know, all that long distance stuff. But also I wanted to dip my toe into some more off-roading stuff as well. I did a bit while I was working with Lynn Motorrad on the 1250 GS in Thetford Forest, which was awesome. I'll stick up a picture now so you can have a quick look at that. But I wanted something of my own that I could do it with, but I also wanted something that was durable, going to last, and was reliable. And unlike the KTM I've just gotten rid of, I needed something that could start up on the key every single day without fail and keep on going. Now those of you that know the brands well enough, you'll know that Japanese brands have a great reputation for reliability and technological advances, etc. So what better place to go than Honda, very much at the top. Anyway, I digress. First of all, look at those gorgeous lights. Those LEDs are fantastic. I just love that angry look on it. And then also it came with these spotlights, which are really bright. I've been flashed a few times in the night time. Clearly they think it's full beams, but whatever, I can see. That's what matters. Maybe I can try and dip them down a little bit more just so they're not blinding people. So yeah, it does come with the 4-pot Nissan brakes, also the 21-inch front wheel, which is obviously good for off-roading. And you know, you'd think that it would feel a little bit floaty being that it's 21-inch like on other bikes where it feels a little bit vague at the front end, but it's not the case with this. It actually feels really quite well connected to the road. Maybe with a bit of suspension sort of adjustment, maybe I could really improve it just to make it more to my stature and size, which is not very large at all. But more on that in a minute. It does come with the crash bars, which was definitely a must. Otherwise it's more money I'd have to fork out. And that is really how I sort of shop for bikes, is how much can I get for the price I'm paying. So if I can get, you know, more equipment, less things that I don't end up having to buy later on, because you know I'm going to want to. So it also comes with the larger screen, which I believe is from the Adventure Sport model. But if anybody knows better as to where this might actually come from, do let me know. I'm not a professional when it comes to these Africa Twins. I'm still learning as I go along. But I'm very grateful for that screen. But what I might do is stick one of them spoilers that comes up at the top here, just to sort of direct the wind a little bit more of me. But more on that when we go on a ride. It does come with the guards, but what I will need is the wider fit here, just to take some of the wind chill off the fingers, because I do tend to use my bikes all year round. So there is that. Comes with radiator protection, because they are quite exposed, being at the front of the bike. It's quite open here. Shoulder forks, they are very impressive. They take over every sort of lump and bump and everything else to do with that, but it is not electrical suspension. So as you see, they are manual adjusted, but that's not a problem. That just means more time with sort of tuning up, getting it to more my size and how I ride, etc. And moving along here, we do have the SC Project full system. I said it all come with it. Thankfully that's something else now I don't have to spend money on. It sounds absolutely cracking, but you'll hear that soon when I start up. So yeah, as I said, 21-inch wheel at the front, 18-inch at the back. They are tubed, but what I might do is look into getting them it's like sealed. I've heard that can be done, so I'm going to look a little bit more into that, and we'll see what happens there. Whether or not I do or not, I don't know. I mean, how often do you really get a puncher? You just don't really want one with tube tyres, because once they're down, they're down. But thankfully this one does come with the centre stand, so changing the wheel won't be so much of an issue, because as standard they don't come with them. That is actually a piece you have to buy from them separately, as is most of the extra gadgets and gizmos you see on here. It did come with the pannier set, so you know, 2 large boxes on the side, and it also came with a top box as well, hence the reason for this rack. Yeah, they're of ample size. I just don't tend to use them day to day if I'm going to work or whatever, unless I want to carry tons and tons of stuff, which most of the time I don't really. But when it comes to touring, won't get any better than that. It doesn't come with a quick shifter, but this is the manual version of the Africa Twin. For those who have done their research on Africa Twins before, you will know that they have a DCT model, which is essentially an automatic, but with sort of like flappy paddle buttons, so you can flick through manual controls and this and the other. I didn't particularly want to go down that route. I will want to try one in the future just to feed the curiosity, but realistically I wanted something I can control, something I can really familiar with. You know, not that I mind relearning things, but for now I wanted something that I'm just really familiar with. So sticking with the manual is a really good idea. It does come with the heated grips, which is awesome. I didn't realise that when I was actually buying it, because it's not really that obvious, but I'll show you why that is in a mo. I have got the seat down on the lower setting, which is very easy for me at 5'8" to actually get my both feet down to the other sides. So for any of you shorties wondering if you could fit on this, it is definitely possible. It looks ginormous, but it's not as unmanageable as you might think. For those who haven't seen the Africa Twin before, the best thing I absolutely love about this machine is, and this is why I think that this could be the best all-rounder for me, is I do love a bit of technology. I'm a bit of a geek in that way, and when we switch it on, you'll see, so you've got this screen here, which obviously tells you your miles per hour, your gear selection, that sort of thing, and all the important sort of warnings. Then you have this TFT screen, which does take a little long to sort of load in, but I really don't care. I think first thing in the morning, I really don't care about that sort of thing. I'll start it up anyway and just leave it running, warm it up before I actually set on. So it is touchscreen. Tap OK, and you've got all of this information here. Absolutely tons. It's very overwhelming when you first start flicking your way through it, but once you get to know how to do it all, you know, it's all controlled by the switch gear and also through touchscreen. So you have got your modes here, which you can either do by using the up and down here. As you can see, that will sort of flick through it once it gets with the program a bit. So you have got 2 custom user maps: off-road, gravel, urban and tour. Now I pretty much just leave it in tour mode because that just seems to make the most sense. And then you've also got like a favourite switch at the back here, which is what controls the heated grips. This is why it wasn't so obvious. So heated grips, and then you've also got your controls the spotlights, which, yeah, I don't know if you can see too well, but they're on. And you've also got all this level of customizability, and you know, you got here, like say your wheelie control, for example. There's your traction control, but also if you say flick through into the main menu, which is if you press here, go settings, function, and then you've got your user modes. Like I said, it's very overwhelming at first, but you know, we'll get used to it. You've got your control over the engine braking and control over, but essentially what that is, that's throttle control. It's not you know, it doesn't cut your brake horsepower or anything like that, just how well it reacts to your hand with the throttle. Also, you've got your ABS on and off road, so you've got 2 of those modes. Auto cancelling turn signals as well, so that's pretty cool. But also with this, you do have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Being that I do have an Android, but the thing with it is you do have to have it connected. So if I just pop that there for a moment, just to make things hands-free, so you have to plug it into the USB there. So pair Bluetooth headset. So if I turn my headset on, so now we have this set up with the Android Auto, this is now mimicking the map off my phone. So if I say, I don't know, I want to go to, say, Norwich, just tap that in, directions, start. Let's get rid of that. So now it's got all my directions up there. And then if I tap on here, as you can see, you actually have all of these apps in there. YouTube Music, but thankfully no actual YouTube on there. I think that would be quite silly. TuneIn Radio, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so it basically mimics what it could use off your phone. Excellent piece of kit. Just to come back out of that, using the controls, and then go to rider information, and that takes you right back to your main screen. So that is pretty much everything that I need to show you while walking around the bike. What we'll do, we'll get on the road now, and then listen, you can hear it and see how it rides, and I'll talk about it as we go along about what I actually think about the ride itself. So guys, catch you in a bit. Alrighty, sounds pretty cracking. So those exhaust tones you're actually hearing are from the parallel twin with the 270 crank, which I found really impressive. So first things first, one of the main reasons why I got this, mostly because of reliability. Being that I was quite stung and hurt from the KTM, I just wanted something that I'd get to enjoy daily. And you don't really get more reliable than Honda. But the bikes I used to love have always been Japanese before that. But curiosity gets the better of me, and I always want to try something new. I mean, hence the reason for this Africa Twin. I mean, it's not what everybody would have pegged me to choose, but it is a very, very impressive machine. So time will tell reliability wise, but reputation of Honda has always been very, very sturdy in that way. And you know, if you put it side by side with the other adventure bikes out there, so say the GS, the Super Adventure S by KTM, you know, the 10 Arai, you know, you might look at the figures and think, well, it doesn't look too impressive. And having owned a KTM Super Duke GT, having ridden a Super Adventure S, having owned a R1200 GS and rode many 1250 GS, I can tell you now, there is not much in it between the two. I know people will argue that, but realistically, mere mortals like ourselves, you still got to handle 100 horsepower, which is still an impressive figure anyway. But it's not about the horsepower with this thing, it's about the torque. And this particular model, compared to the Africa Twin Adventure Sport, this is designed more for the off-roading, and when you're off-road you want that torque. But I didn't get this bike just for the power. As I've already mentioned, I got it for the reliability, but I also got it for the handling of it, which, if experience has taught me well, these can hang with the bigger boys just as easy. When I say the bigger boys, I mean the sport bike riders, the naked bike riders, you know, and all the other adventure bikes. It is more than capable, because realistically, through the bends and twisties, I know I would rather be on something like this, which has wider bars, can easily flick and roll around all the bends, and it'll probably do it with ease. You know, it takes all the hard work out of it for you. So the handling on this thing is absolutely superb. Now what I do find myself doing with this bike is definitely getting a little carried away with that throttle, because before you know it, you look down and you go, "Ooh, okay, I'm a little bit over," so you have to roll off a bit. And I don't know if it's that SC Project exhaust, but it's quite an addictive tone to it. But I don't know if you can hear too well on the video due to the wind, but you just want to hear that sound come out. And I do find myself hanging in the lower gears more often, and for good reason too. Have a listen. Absolute peach. And I could probably see myself not getting exhausted with this bike on long distance due to that very plush suspension, awesome handling. It's just a cracking machine as a good all-rounder. In regards to the tyres, these are the Bridgestone, I believe, AX41, and I know I think they're like a 50-50 tyre, but I haven't found that they got bent out of shape at all. There was one thing that happened, and it was a bit bizarre, but it did make me laugh. I was on the dual carriageway in 6th gear, you know, doing 70, and I noticed as I was winding up to 70, I must have been in between 60 and 70, the rear wheel just slid out from behind me. But due to the 6-axis IMU, and I'm going to guess and say that's what it was, but it corrected it so gently. Now, where on other occasions, had you done that without that, you'd probably shit yourself. But the bike had it all under control. And I don't know if that was just me being a bit ham-fisted. I didn't feel like I was. But it didn't make me panic, because I actually felt like the bike was under control, and it, oddly enough, was quite fun. Now, for me personally, I find that this bike is perfect all-rounder for me. It's got the tech, it's got the handling, it's got the wide bars, it's got the big wheels. It means I can dip my toe into more off-roading. You know, it's got the nice big screen, which I may change out in the future. I mean, I was saying earlier when I was doing a walk around about the spoiler is for it would be that it does get a little bit of buffeting, but it's not too bad. I mean, coming from the Honda Grom, this is, you know, still a pleasant dream. But it could definitely do, if you're going to be doing mile after mile after mile, maybe having that wind just taken off the top of your head so it's not sort of bobbing and bouncing around. But I mean, that's really my only minor, very minor gripe. I mean, I just can't believe I hadn't thought about trying one sooner. And I suppose it was because I was clouded by my excitement of wanting to try the KTM because of the power, try the BMW because it's, you know, very well known to being one of the best adventure bikes out there. And this one just sort of flew under the radar a bit for me. And I'll admit, it's actually got me pleasantly surprised. And I probably wouldn't have thought about even getting this if it wasn't for a good friend of mine who, you know, when it comes to bang for your buck, my good friend Woody, he's very frugal in that way. And that's not in any way an insult. He's definitely less of a kid than I am when it comes to what you're getting for your money. You know, he is a Honda fanboy through and through, and quite rightly so, because, you know, the value you get is incredible. I mean, admittedly, the bikes of this day and age are not, to me, they're not overly exciting looking. I mean, this and obviously the Fireblade, to me, seems the most exciting looking compared. So that's probably the reason why I didn't really look towards Honda just because they never really seem to catch my eye anymore. What does catch my eye is definitely the sort of older fire blades, the Honda Hornet, but the older one. It's not to say that I'm knocking the new one, because I haven't tried it. How can I cast my opinion on it? But visually it doesn't grip me, and admittedly this didn't until I was steered towards it and told that they had one in stock at Lind. So, and I'm glad I'm glad I did take a look at it, because it is pretty spectacular. I'm loving it. I haven't found an occasion yet where anybody with some riding experience will know this, where you sort of approach a particular thing that you're going to do. So whether it be a slow maneuver, whether it be an overtake, whether it be anything at all, and you think, oh, I don't know if it's gonna cope with it, or whether I'm gonna balls this up, or whether I'm gonna drop the bike or anything. And so far, everything that I have done, it hasn't caused me any difficulty whatsoever. It hasn't been too large to do, apart from one thing, which is sort of pushing it around. Where I live, on my driveway, is at quite a steep angle, as I've probably said in my previous videos, which can get a little bit cumbersome, but it might just be the fact that I'm not so used to pushing a tall bike down the slope like that for a little while. Maybe it's just me working out that balance on the bike, but minor gripe. There's nothing that, you know, can't be, you know, learned through muscle memory and that sort of thing. So I have to admit as well, I'm glad I got the manual, because these gear changes are buttery smooth. Coming from having a GS and a Super Duke, you know, the Super Duke felt quite agricultural, and as did the GS, very clunky like a tractor. But this is it's just very predictable with the gears. You know, very light to the touch. You don't need to thump it in, and it doesn't thump back at you. Got all that power that we require. I mean, granted, it's not going to melt your face. It won't feel like your guts are being pulled to your spine or anything, but for an everyday all-round adventure bike, it's pretty in line with what I need. What I want, well, there's a long list of wants, but needs, this is more of a need. It does everything I need. Plus, with all those creature comforts such as the heated grips, the screen, you know, nice comfy seat, and also I can reach the floor with ease. I think Honda, you know, have got a real peach here. And for anyone who hasn't tried it or is thinking, oh, I don't really want that, it's, you know, boring and plain, blah 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 blah, I really would not dismiss it. Go and try one, you know. And Honda stand by their brand, and they were more than happy for test rides and that sort of thing. I mean, that is just flicking from one side to the other. Literally, it didn't fall to the other side. It didn't require any heavy wrestling. It just went way, way nice and easy gliding from one side to the next. What a gem. And I think with a few minor tweaks, sort of to where you know, the handlebar placement is, maybe pulling it a little bit closer to me, I do find my right arm is a little bit elevated, but very, ever so slightly. Maybe I want to get the suspension looked at, set up to my weight. I don't know if maybe somebody heavier had it before. I'm not that heavy. You know, maybe my wife and people who know me might disagree that I have put on a bit of timber over the past few years, but we will blame lockdown for that. Too many poached eggs and chocolates and snacks. So anyway, I mean, this isn't, you know, obviously a full long-winded review or a professional take on it for that matter, but you know, you have many of them over on YouTube through other people's videos and this and the others. So if you want to know all the technical stats, specs and whatnot, certainly head over to some of the others like 44 Teeth and MCN, and you know, take a pic. There's oodles. But this is just me sort of showing you the new Steed, you know, and what we're going to be doing more videos on, and hopefully next year maybe some touring as well, meet up with a few of the other people within the community, on the biker guys, here's biker guys, yeah, not biker boys, that's the sport bike video. If you actually haven't seen that video, actually, that's a pretty good film. You know, hopefully meet up with a good friend Q-Tube and his crazy bunch, and you know, I would like to believe that this could take us on some good adventures, and I believe it will, but also to be able to reliably week after week be able to get more videos out without hassle, without wonder if the bike's going to start, or if I'm going to have to send one back, or you know. And not only that, I don't want to get bored too easy either, because you know, that's the fun. You know, you love changing bikes, but if I'm being completely honest with you and myself, I'm getting quite bored of the buying process and selling process, and you know, the paperwork, the phone calls, this and the other. I think, you know, I'd like to take a big break from all that and stick with a very trusty Steed, and I think this is the one. Alright then guys, anyway, thank you so much for tuning in and sticking around. Also, you know, anything I have forgotten or anything I should know, if you are a fan of the Africa Twin, if you have one or know anything about them, and you think anything I should know myself, pop it down in the comments section below, drop me a DM, whatever you wish, and yeah, I look forward to hearing you. Alright, anyway, until the next video, catch you all in the next one. Peace out, my guys.